See, according to Cocteau's plan, I'm the internet. Because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy who likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in a non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer weed.
Oh, well, I guess it's just me for a second. Oh, there he's back.
Yeah. I have both the kids sick, so I'm going to have to figure out.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks.
I thought Dag was going to be here, but here we are, and he is not, so surely he'll pop in at any time now, I'm sure. Maybe, hopefully.
He's sleeping in, probably.
Now, I know for a fact that he's not sleeping in because he had to get some medical stuff done this morning. And then Mark is not here because he's driving, which apparently only stops him from participating in the show. Me and Dag and Clyde all have proven that we are more than capable of driving and doing a show at the same time. And you're doing it right now. As I'm doing right this second. Kids in the truck and everything. Damn, some child safety. We're gonna show must go on. But Mark,
as long as it hits his side, right? Like,
that's right. Mark, on the other hand, cannot multitask and do show and this at the same time. Steven, who has a black screen? What are you talking about? I can't. Well, we only see what's on our screen, so we can't see the. Sean, pull this up on YouTube. Oh, that's right. You're grounded, so your phone only texts and calls. My bad, buddy. I like to ask him to look stuff up for me from time to time just to remind him that he's grounded and his phone does nothing but text and call.
you just have to rub that in, like rub salt in the wound.
Yeah, every once in a while I'm like, hey, why don't you Google that for me? And he's like,
try refreshing, Steven.
Yeah, try refreshing. I don't know what. Do you have it pulled up on YouTube as well? Like, are you?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, it's not a black screen. I think probably just sometimes I know that whenever you go to when you do live streams, like if you transition like to something, it'll just black out for some reason. So try refreshing, Steven, see if that works.
Say I don't have the option because if I close this window on my phone, then it removes me from the stream, and then I don't know what happens there. It'll just go until I come back, I guess.
Then I'll become the host, and I can be the overlord of the stream.
Actually, it won't let you do anything other than just be a participant. Like you, if I leave, then you're just like there. You can't do anything. We did an episode of Clock Management one night where Mark was going to be out. He had something going on that night, and I was at work, so I couldn't actually be on the show. But I was running the stream from my phone, and so like the guys were talking about stuff, and I would see where they would pop up like Matt Erickson was trying to share stuff onto the stream. So I would like click on it and I would pull it up and show it on the screen, and I guess they just thought that it was like happening by magic or something. Because at the end of the show, as they were wrapping up, I popped on and said bye, and they were like, "Oh, you fucker, you've been here the whole time." It's like, yeah. How'd y'all think all the stuff you were sharing was actually like popping up on the screen? I've been running the whole thing. I just couldn't participate because I was at work.
That's funny. They thought they were in control. It's just like, nope, you're not in control.
No, it was quite humorous though. Now Steven got it fixed. He can see us now. I still don't know where Dag is. This is a little concerning because I was literally talking to him like 10 minutes ago, and at that point he was definitely in and going to be here. He got a car accident. Hopefully not. Don't say stuff like that. Oh, that's the
as you're about to, he's about to curse you. That's what he's about to do. He's about to curse you into having a car accident.
Yeah, don't say stuff like that. You'll jinx us. Speaking of jinx, did you see the? We didn't talk about it on Friday because we try not to talk too much sports on this show. But did you see the? Did you see the the announcer's curse on who the what was it, the Detroit kicker, where he goes, the announcer goes, he hasn't missed a single field goal all season, and then as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, he's missing this one. Then they could literally tee the ball up on the 1 yard line and remove the defense and just tell him all you got to do is just pooch kick it right through, and he's going to shank it. Like, there was a 0% chance he was hitting that next kick. And sure enough, as soon as the ball comes off his foot, it just like hooks wide left. Like, wasn't even close to going through. I was like, oh my God, that was, wow, impressive.
Yeah, well, even the even the Justin Tucker one, you know, like they were like, oh, it's in, and then I'll fall short. Like, it's like, wow, you guys are great cursing it.
Like, somebody needs to teach the announcers, like, there are certain things you just don't say. And just and I know, like, well, Romo, as soon as he said it, Romo more or less said, you jinxed him. I guess it was a Jim Nance that was the one that said he hasn't missed a kick all year. And then Romo was like,
I don't remember all the commentators. Like other I know Romo, and I know a couple of other guys but like Kirk Herbstreit and stuff, but I don't really know all the guys.
It's like as an athlete, you know, there are certain things you just straight up don't say. Like if if somebody's got if somebody's carrying a no-hitter into the 6th or 7th inning, like, you just don't talk about it. Don't mention it. Don't mention it. Don't say it. You'll fuck it up immediately. As soon as you say it, it's like, didn't that happen with the what was the the Detroit Tigers pitcher that he was like one out away, and then the ump blew the call. Like, it was very clearly the guy was out at first, but the ump blew the call and called him safe, and so it like gave up a hit. It's like, and I'm pretty sure the announcers were like, all he's got to do is get this one out, and he completes his no hitter, and then it's like,
one out to complete a no hitter here, and then like, you know, one out, you know, like, get this one out, and he completes the no hitter, and then all of a sudden just botch call and no hitter gone. Like,
that's like,
I think they did that a couple times this year. Well, like there weren't as many no hitters this year, like because like pitchers were like pretty bad overall. Like there were a few gems in there, but like they're like, every time they do that, like you know that they whenever they say something, it's just over. Like, it's like, oh, it's done.
You've spoken it into existence at that point. Like, you can't. There should be a certain, like, there has to be an announcer etiquette that there are certain things you just don't talk about until after the game is over. Like, once the game's over, then you can say whatever you want because it washes clean before the next game. But you can't, like, don't say that the guy hasn't missed a kick all season right before he's about to make a very important kick. Like, you have doomed him for life.
Yeah, that's like I think they did something like that. What were you gonna say? I didn't really have anything important. I was just gonna say, like, I think they did that with like McPherson, like or earlier or whatever. Like, they were like, yeah, you know, he hasn't missed one all year, and then just immediately he just botches the next one. It looks terrible.
That's the way it always goes. It's, you know, don't say things like that. Later, love you. Have a good day.
One sec, I gotta grab a screaming child.
Well, I was about to say what we got on the docket for the day, but I can't believe Dag's still not here. I don't know what's going on. This is concerning me a little bit. So anyway, I'm dropping kids off. Trey's got screaming kids. Hey, there's the screaming kid. he just wanted to come see what's going on in this room and participate in the show.
Yep, he likes the spotlight for sure.
I got a couple of those. Not this one back here. She's okay. But the other two, they think they need to be active participants in everything.
Yeah, both of mine are attention hogs.
Oh, there's our
spam bots.
Finder XYZ. Love you, bye. Have a good day. Gotta block that one. All right, so what are we talking about? We you got the stuff that I asked you to have queued up.
Yeah. Let me pull it up here.
All right, let's start with today's show title.
The Elon Musk. This is great. So,
kind of insane that Elon Musk gets to decide how 500 million people communicate. Too much power for one. What was it? Erratic billionaire to have, or something dumb like that. I think so. All across Twitter, all weekend, all the blue checks and leftists just like.
It should really be. Funny because, I think you just have to accept it. There it is.
Oh, is it up? Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So my son and I were watching Utopia, the 2020 Amazon Prime series about a mysterious disease, and then the vaccine that was to be the cure, but not actually, and all of that fun stuff. So we were watching that, and
didn't they cancel that after one season?
Canceled it after one season because they said it was too on the nose with what was going on in the world. If you haven't watched that, I highly recommend it, and especially now, like a couple years later, watching it in retrospect to actually 2020 and what all was going on, and especially everything that we know about what was going on at this point. Man, that was like so on the nose. But anyway, we were watching that, and at about the time I was like perusing Twitter and seeing all this stuff was when they had this one line where he said, one of the characters says, there's on message, and then there's scripted. And the whole time, and as I'm reading this, that's coming on the screen. I was like, yeah, there's on
that's
message.
That's why you said that quote when you quote tweeted it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, that's why I posted that. It was like there's on message, and then there's scripted. And when you go through and look at this, like every time something like this happens, you get the NPCs just copy pasting the same thing over and over again. Like it's scripted. It's not, and this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen organically. Like this is manufactured.
You know, this
like they're
like this has to be like it absolutely has to be like bot farms, like and they don't even have to. It doesn't have to be complicated because I could do this because I've already I've done it before. I have a script that I can just run to send a tweet about like whenever if I go live or if I ever get to go live for like Twitch streaming or whatever. If I'm going to stream me playing games, I literally have a script that I can just send the tweet like saying, "Hey, I'm live playing games or whatever." And so like these aren't hard to do. It's just like they just make a bunch of accounts and then you can run a script and then it'll send it from all those accounts. It's not hard at all.
But a lot of these look like legit accounts. Like they're people that post things. Like they're not just I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that there's coordination or that those people like see the spam and then they copy it or something like that. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on.
So talking about Utopia, watch episode. I want to say it's episode 6 of that. Like they have Steven, it's on Amazon Prime. So like episode 6, they're running this spin on what's going on with this guy who killed himself that was part of their like story. and wasn't supposed to happen. So now they've got to like run spin, and they've got this room with like dozens of people in the room, and they're like, all right, in the next 2 hours, we need this circulating. And so all of these people just start like sending out all of this stuff, like the same script on social media over and over and over again. And that's where the line from the one character comes from. There's on message and then there's scripted, and like it kind of makes you think, like watching that show in light of everything that's happened over the last 2 years. It's like, yeah, the reason that they canceled it after one season and said that it hit a little too close to home is because they kind of like gave away the game, like with a science fiction series.
Well, it's funny then that if that's coming from Amazon, and Bezos owns the Washington Post, so that would definitely hit too close to home, like the fact that his own rag would be doing the same things that every other rag is doing, because they have to generate those clicks, so they all coordinate, because even when Donald Trump announced or whatever, you could see immediately it was like, oh, Donald Trump announces and this is why it's bad and all this kind of stuff. It's like, oh wow, and then all of a sudden I saw last week or something like that, why Ron DeSantis is bad, just all of them circulating at the same time simultaneously. It's crazy, how they just coordinate it.
It's definitely very well thought out and very well scripted, very well coordinated. None of this stuff happens unintentionally, and none of it happens organically. There's somebody's pulling the strings on that and making sure that the right message is getting out there. And there's no room for, as with the left, there is no room for variation on the message. It has to be the exact same message, otherwise it could be construed in a way that they don't like. So they don't leave it open to interpretation.
Yeah, there's definitely they not only do they script it, but it's clearly that they all have to come to consensus. That's the weirdest thing too, is there has to be some level of consensus to make the same statements over and over again. And it's weird that they can quickly come to such a consensus, because even there's it's funny how on the left they can be able to come to that conclusion, all the same conclusion in a really quick manner, whereas the right, there's always infighting, there's always arguing of okay, well, maybe stuff like Trump versus DeSantis or whatever, there's always infighting between the right, which is why they're so easy to beat, because they're always infighting amongst each other, whereas the left just literally comes out in a unified all the time, a singular message against whoever it is, doesn't matter whatever right-wing figure or whatever. They can immediately come to a conclusion. Even the Balenciaga stuff, it's been a unified thing of well, it's not that bad. That maybe some of it was not great, but it wasn't too bad. And the right wingers are just mad. They're back stuck in their old ways. This kind of stuff. Immediately, that's the kind of response you get.
No, Corey, we would never say such a thing. Apparently, Dag is getting his issues figured out. He's having internet problems. I just got a dozen messages all at once, so I think his internet may have come back very abruptly. So he could be joining us any moment now, assuming I'm right and his internet has returned to him. Speaking of the Balenciaga thing, you want to pull that up? That was, man, the farther this drags out, the more kind of insane it starts to seem.
Well, there was there's been a bunch of different, I don't know if you saw all the different threads of the book. There was obviously the papers, but there was also the book that had disturbing images. There's been a bunch of different stuff. I even saw something this morning. I don't know if it's real, but and I think I sent it to you, but it's apparently they had a photo shoot, and there was a baby doll with blood on it. It's so weird how some of this stuff, either a lot of it's being manufactured and fake, or it's it's totally real, and like it's just now becoming a thing that people notice. It should be up there now.
There we go. Yeah. So this whole thing is just progressively getting more and more insane. Like the Balenciaga stuff. Why would you put that much stuff like in the photo shoot for one? But like, and then the fact that they admitted it, like effectively they admitted guilt after the fact and started taking everything down and deleted their entire Instagram page, like just
they deleted their
Instagram page.
Well, they deleted their Twitter too. Like they completely deleted. They nuked their Twitter.
Like everything, they just took everything down. Is like holy shit. Like that's usually whenever they do stuff like this, they get like a soft admission of, oh, that was an accident, or
that was a
we
joke.
didn't really mean that, or or you're taking it in the wrong way. Like you're misconstruing what was intended by that, and they try to walk it back and talk their pretty circles around it, and just like move on with life, and everybody gets to forget about it and act like it didn't happen. They just like scrubbed everything. There's like, oh shit, like why would they delete the entire Instagram account and Twitter account? Like, are they worried that people saw that and realized, oh shit, and that people are just going to start going back through all the rest of their stuff and finding everything else that, like all the other Easter eggs they've been burying in everything they've done for like forever? Like,
I actually, like, with the Twitter, like with the Instagram thing, I'm not sure, but I definitely think like with the Twitter account, especially considering how a lot of the companies like hate Elon, it could just be like a good excuse to like get to deactivate the Twitter account, because I don't think it's deleted. I don't believe that they would delete their Twitter account, especially like if Twitter becomes like the popular social media site. Like they would want to advertise, they would. Because that's big money. But they, maybe they just want to deactivate it just to kind of like keep the press off, like keep people off of them, and probably just to kind of let it die down. It's a lot like what YouTubers do whenever they get caught in drama. Like they'll just deactivate their accounts, wait a little bit, and if they're smart, like the idiots go out there and they apologize, and they have to do a whole like, I'm sorry, and they do a video of like, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing, even though I literally saw like a dead body in the woods or something like that, and I took a selfie with it. I didn't know what I was doing, but all of a sudden, now they've learned, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that's what it is they're just trying to lay low and just see if the everything will die down.
Well, I guess I could understand like maybe on Instagram doing that, because Instagram is still Zuckerberg owned and it's Meta, but by all indications, nothing has really changed with Facebook and Instagram and all of that. But like Twitter had a child pornography problem for a long time, and since Elon has taken over, there are a lot of reports that is starting to get cleaned up, and they're actually starting to like take action against that stuff. So maybe they are legit. Maybe they did legitimately delete the Twitter account, because like if they're starting to come after them for that, they might realize they were not long for the Twitter world anyway.
That's true. Like it could be that they were like, this could be construed as CP. Like if somebody wants to look at it like that, and that would definitely be something that like they would not want to get their Twitter nuked because people believe that it's CP. I mean, like it basically is, I would think, because there's no way that like kids dressing up like that and then having like bears with like bondage, like that's you're borderline right there. Like,
right, the bondage bears for like toddlers was kind of rough. I mean, how did they even think that was a good idea? Like, who's? I mean, obviously, it's this woman that we just showed with the red babies and everything. Like, these people really are like psychotic monsters that just want to diddle kids. I mean, that's what it seems like.
Well, I don't know if you want to look at it today, but apparently WAPO was promoting a play that is about pedos. Like they're straight up promoted a play that was about pedos, and they said it's brilliant.
Of course it is. What are their reviews of it? Yeah, pull it up. What are their specific reviews of it that makes it brilliant? Like, why is this not reviled and viewed as like something to piss people off as opposed to something that should be like viewed as a good thing? And they've been doing this more and more over. So have you noticed that? Like for years, it was the normalizing of the
LGBT stuff. Yeah.
And then it was originally just the gays and lesbians and same-sex marriage, like that was the thing. And then once that became normalized, then they started pushing for the trans stuff, and that's been really front and center for the last probably 2 to 3 years. And now that that's kind of hit peak insanity, now they're pushing to normalize the pedo stuff, like a little bit more slowly, because once you start messing with people's kids, people get real defensive and kind of wood chippery. So you gotta watch yourself with that. But
yeah, but it's weird that they're becoming more brazen about it though. But yeah, this says like it's a play about pedophiles, and it's like it's also brilliant, and that it's just like let's see, or so harsh and unrelenting is to be inhumane. Like the punishments inflicted on them are inhumane. Like, yeah, we just throw them in a cell. We don't even do anything to them anymore. Like other than like we throw them in a cell for a few years. Like that's so inhumane.
So the humane thing would be to put a bullet in their head and move on, but
yeah,
in Minecraft, hypothetically.
Yeah, in Minecraft. But yeah, they're just straight up saying like, let's see, I'm trying to remember what's the good part too. But they're like, well, I mean, they're talking about like they're trying to. Oh, here's a good one. It develops an agonizing moral question, one that our retributive correctional culture would rather not have to debate, and it is made even thornier by the drama's most disagreeable character. Oh, let's see. But yeah, they're trying to say like, oh well, maybe the punishments are too harsh on pedos.
The reason that society, the reason that those on the left don't want to debate this is because there is no debate. The debate ends at these people should be completely ostracized from civil society forever, and the left wants it to be normalized. So like, and there's still a significant pushback against normalizing it that like they can't very well win. Have you seen the stuff where they've tried to like tie it back to ancient Greek and Roman society and be like, oh well, this is a normal thing. They did this sort of stuff back then too, and it's just normal. It's like, no, that's the people who were doing that and the things that were being done, that was not normal, and that stuff was also not.
Well, that's why the society like degraded. Like that's the whole that's the whole point. Is like the society collapsed when these kind of things become more normalized. Like almost everywhere where you see like it's a universal thing. Like where this becomes normalized, then the then the society will collapse like slowly.
Well, that's a historical pattern that you can follow throughout, like literally the rise and fall of every great civilization is once the LGBTQ stuff starts, it's never, previously it hasn't ever been defined in that exact way, but it's the same thing. And every time that begins to rise and become more prevalent, then the kid stuff starts to rise and become more prevalent, and abortions and stuff like that rise and become more prevalent. And as that happens, society degrades into this just like completely amoral thing, and then it collapses and it goes into complete disrepair, and the whole thing just caves in on itself. And then like it's the whole reason you have the the memes, the good time or bad times create strong men create good times,
Good times create weak men.
weak men create bad times. And it's it's the reason you have that cycle. And we are unfortunately in the weak men creating bad times part of that cycle.
Yeah, and like it's just so weird though that they really harp on this, like this kind of stuff. Like if they honestly, I think they would get the trans stuff or whatever. Like, they could get that easily. But whenever they do the kind of stuff like Dylan Mulvaney, like people don't like it being rubbed in the face. But I don't think that's what it is. It's a humiliation tactic. Like they're definitely trying to humiliate you while they're showing you that they're winning.
I do think there's going to be a full-on outbreak at some point of like, it's not going to be a civil war like North-South type of civil war. Like it's going to be almost a left-right civil war type of thing that's going to happen.
It'll probably be like a skirmish, really, more than anything. Like multiple skirmishes of just like the people who are anti-pedo or whatever against the people who are like pro like LGBT pedo, all that stuff. They're just for everything that the left is saying that they're for, and then
feels like it's gonna be pretty one-sided. Dag, it's good to see that you made it.
Yes.
I realized that you were having internet issues when I got a dozen messages all at once.
Yeah, it was my regular phone. Like, it wasn't even just internet, like phone service altogether. I tried to call you the old-fashioned way just to let you know. It wouldn't even let me make a call.
Every one of the messages that was coming through was like, I don't have internet. I don't know what's going on. I don't have internet. Like a dozen of them came through all at once. And as we're sitting here doing this, I was like, oh, well, there's the problem. Dak doesn't have internet. Looks like it may be coming back because I just got all of his messages.
Yep. Somebody must have ran into the tower with their car or something. I don't know.
That's happened a few times in Florida, hasn't it?
Probably. A lot of times, probably on purpose for the 5G. You gotta take them down. I'm bringing that tower down.
We had somebody hit a transformer one time, and power went out for a couple of hours. I was like, how do you just? I mean, I think it's just because it's on that street corner. But how did somebody just like straight up dive into drive right into the transformer off the side of the road?
When I was in high school,
Losers.
When I was in high school, they lost power in town one time because a squirrel got inside of a transformer and completely blew the thing up. Like the whole transformer just like fried and exploded because this squirrel got inside. I don't even know how the squirrel got inside of it, but it did. And
Thank you for your service, squirrel.
Yeah, they lost power in town for like 3 hours because the transformer got blown up. It's kind of impressive.
That's cool. So what are we talking about?
Oh, pedos, and Elon Musk is a threat to free speech or something like that.
All right. That's cool.
I think we may have exhausted the pedo talk, unless you got more to add to it.
No, I thought I heard him say PETA, but now it makes a lot more sense in the conversation. He said pedo when I first tuned in there.
Yes.
It's that southern drawl, pedo. When you say pedo, and it sounds just like PETA.
One of y'all pull up. Speaking of PETA, one of y'all pull up PETA's Twitter. We didn't do it on Saturday, and I meant to. They had just a string of the most ridiculous, like, anti-Thanksgiving tweets there. There was one that was like a person. It was like, it looked like a human body tied up in a position of like the turkey on Thanksgiving, and then there was another one where it's like these people looking all like crazed and psychotic cutting the turkey, and the turkey's still alive. It's like,
have you ever been to Thanksgiving?
Okay, well, I'm looking at the PETA Twitter, and like one of the first things that just pops out at me is that they're showing like a rat with like a giant abscess tumor, and they were like, PETA help. Let's see, they reached out to PETA to help peacefully end the suffering. It's like, okay, it's disgusting.
You know, my wife posted a few weeks ago. We were processing chickens, and she made a post about it. Oh, it's a thing we do, and this is why we like to do it. And this is, put in there the whole thing, like, yeah, like it sucks, like, because we like animals, and blah blah blah. And most people's comments like, oh, that's great, doing it, and blah blah blah. But like one person had some post about like, oh, karma's a bitch, and like had some like graphic of like, it was like a like a yin and yang looking thing, but it was where the cow was like chopping off the farmer's head or something, and I'm just like fuck off, dude. Like, first off, and it's like,
there's the PETA thing.
Know your audience. It's just weird though. People are just such dicks, who are, sometimes who, on both sides, but definitely more so the don't eat meat side for sure. Oh, that's sweet. Hey man, if they could, they would. First off. All right.
The anti-meat eaters, like, their position on stuff is always so insane. Like, I think have we talked about it before? There was a big hit piece that was done several years ago. I say that it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago now. But there was like a big hit piece that was done on Purdue farms. And it was a farmer that had raised chickens for Purdue, and then what happened was he lost his contract, and so then he did like a tell-all thing with some news station. As they're going through and like talking about he's talking about all these like inhumane and horrible things that Purdue does to their chickens. And as they're walking through and they're showing everything, I'm like, okay, that's a contract violation. That's a contract violation. That's a contract violation. Like, no wonder you lost your contract. Like, you're not keeping your barns at the standard that you're supposed to. Like, the dude was clearly not doing things the right way. And then when he lost his contract, he decided to like do some tell-all. But really, he was trying
like,
to
this is the bad conditions that I let them live in.
Yeah.
Like, kind of thing.
Like, he was trying to do this like tell-all and act like it was Purdue Farms' fault that the chickens were being put in these terrible conditions. I was like, I know what the contract says. Like, I work for Purdue. I've seen all of their paperwork and stuff. Like, everything that this dude is doing is wrong. He's trying to tell on Purdue like they're the ones who are doing something wrong. Everything about the way he's maintaining his farm is completely out of spec for what he's supposed to do. Like, anybody who actually knows the industry watching this video knows that he's the one in the wrong, not the company he's working for.
Well, I don't even know the industry, and I know that's probably what's the case, because I know that the little bit that I know is that a lot of times that they just have these contracts with independent farmers, and so the independent farmer is the one that's supposed to uphold those standards.
Yeah, and this is why, like, whenever there's any sort of like documentary or something, it's always like, one way, because you never really know. And like in this circumstance, if the guy's bitching about how bad Purdue is, shouldn't his barn be better than their standards? You know what I mean? Not worse, right?
Right.
Like, his should be better than their standards. And go, look, man, I just had to, like, their shit isn't good enough. This is, like, it is so bad, and this is why I'm doing it better. And that should be your tell-all, right? Look, this is why I said fuck Purdue, and
yeah.
So let's go, because I'm sure I'm not a fan of how Purdue does things, like, by their standards. Like, obviously I raise chickens in a different way, but like, Yeah, fuck this guy. I got to point something out, though. In that graphic that we had up there, they don't really understand how turkeys give birth. Or rather, they don't give birth, right? Because that was a pregnant turkey. That's not how that works. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there.
They don't understand anything about anything. Like, that's...
Like the whole graphic is like the testament of how like low IQ these people are, because like they're trying to show like, oh well, like think of how it would be like if they were doing that, and then like it doesn't even, they don't even understand like how the turkeys work, or like how like people wouldn't probably look like that or whatever, like this whole thing.
The female turkey had her little bump on the head. Sorry, go ahead.
So they always act like people who raise animals for meat are these like horrible, inhumane. Like you're not mistreating your animals. Like you don't get good meat off of poorly treated animals. Like you're trying to raise something. You raise them right. You treat them humanely. They're well fed. They're well taken care of. Like you're not deliberately trying to be cruel to your animals. Like, and then when you do kill them, you're not doing it in some weird like ritualistic obscene way. Like you're trying to make sure that they have a clean, painless death. Like it's not good. It's not good for the meat to torture an animal, right? Like
right.
Well, even I mean, that's why we have like laws against, like even like in hunting laws, like preservation laws, like you can't just go like killing a bunch of fawns. Like that's just not kosher. Even amongst the people who are killing the animals.
It is the tastiest deer, though. I like to bring them home alive so I can chain them down and not let them move for like 4 weeks, and feed them nothing but Krispy Kreme donuts, and then you really get good fawn veal that way.
Guys like that. Like there was a guy that posted on 4chan of like how he killed a deer, and he was telling about how like, oh yeah, I killed this deer out in the woods, like it's like a 6-point or whatever, and people were like, oh wow, that's crazy, and he was like, yeah, I had snuck up on it, and then I like beat it over the head with a pipe or something like that.
That's hard to do. Well, like I know like some farmer dudes who are a little like older than me, and they're a little, like Justin said, people aren't cruel, and it's like they're much more like, how should I say this? I don't know, they're not cruel, but they're much more like, okay, so like he's telling me a story about, oh yeah, he castrates his hogs, and he uses a razor blade and cuts it out, cuts their balls out and everything. And, if you ask him, oh, does it hurt? He goes, nah, not unless you miss and nick your finger. It's like the joke, because obviously you're talking about the pig. Doesn't that hurt? Yes, it hurts like a motherfucker when you cut their fucking nutsack open. But, he doesn't bother him at all. He's a little, he's not cruel, though. You know what I mean? He still cares for his animals greatly, and I think he runs a good operation, even though he has a little different attitude than I do. Or might do things a little bit differently because I'm a big softie. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, people don't tend to not be cruel, or they wouldn't own animals.
Even people who like acknowledge that the sole purpose of this animal is to be raised to a certain size so that it can be killed. Like you're still taking care of it. You still want it to be raised well and treated well, because, like I said, I mean, you do see the farms that are done badly, like the ones where the chickens are in poor condition, where the cows are too skinny, or the hogs are kept in really cramped. Those don't make good meat. Like
okay.
if you're not taking good care of your animal, you're not getting the quality meat that you want, and that tends to flesh itself out. Like those people don't stay in business. They it's the same thing with like the environmentalists make a big deal about that farmers don't take care of their land. Like why? What's your incentive to not take care of your land? Like you're going to be environmentally conscious as a farmer. Like if you're actively destroying your land, then you're not going to be able to keep doing business. Like, you're not farming to do this for the next 2 years and then say, fuck it, and set the whole thing on fire. Like, you're looking to farm for literally forever and probably pass it down to your kids and their kids. Like, you're going to be a good steward of the environment. You're going to be a good steward of the land, and you're going to take care of stuff. You're not actively trying to destroy the thing that's allowing you to make a living.
Well, I joined 10 minutes ago, and here we are, Farmer Talk.
I know. My son will be so disappointed.
It's all I have. Oh, shit.
It was your fault, too. You came in saying something about PETA, and then took us down the...
Yeah, well, I knew that was on our topic list today at some point, I thought, so... I was like, oh, no, I missed the PETA talk. But they're just clowns. I don't know. There's not even any, like, good meat, no pun intended, when it comes to PETA shit, because it's just the same old stupid bullshit. You know?
So Trey, you're not in the private chat for the group. I said I'm inviting Trey because my son says anytime it's just a Justin and Dag show, we always end up talking about farming. So I brought you in specifically to keep us from talking about farming, and here we spent the last 15 minutes talking about farming. So.
We even talked about farming animals you're supposed to hunt wildly, like deer. Like I even managed to rope that in.
I actually know a guy who does that. You know, they have like a preservation sort of thing, like where they grow and raise some of them. They actually keep they have some like exotic wildlife too. Like they have kangaroos, a couple other things. Well, I like some of it's for meat, but some of it's just like cool. Preservation type stuff. So
yeah, that's cool, man. I really dig the I've got a really good book called Enviro Capitalists, and it's written by the same people who write Free Market, Environmentalism, et cetera, et cetera. But that particular book is just really good because it's not just a bunch of boring economic stuff. It's a bunch of specific examples about people who have, like, private forestry and this and that, and how they do private hunting, and just how it's so far superior to, like, public lands, the hunting on public lands and stuff. I had this dentist this one time, and he was a real douchebag. A lot of dentists are. But he tells me one time, however, it came up a conversation that he hunts. Every year he goes hunting. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I didn't really picture him as a hunter, as a real rugged type. And I'm like, where do you go? Tell me about it. And he's like, oh, we've got this place we go. And basically it's like a resort, and you get your tag, and like there's feeder stations, and you go shoot your deer as it comes up to feed at the thing. And I'm like, oh, cool, man. Yeah. So, all right, let's get this over with.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you say to that? And what I've learned from this dentist,
it the hard way.
Yeah. Well, you don't get in an argument with your dentist before he's about to do a cavity on you. I've made that mistake before about something stupid. It was with this dentist, because he will start drilling before you're numb, and you can't be a bitch at that point. You have to sit there and take it, because man.
Don't start no shit, won't be no shit.
Yep. So I've since learned to just whatever that dentist says, yes, sir. That's very cool, sir. Cool 2-seater Mercedes you have out there, sir.
Yeah, I don't particularly have a great deal of care for the people who do the controlled hunt like that, where like it's where's the sport in that? Like, where's the fun? Like, if you go out there and you know that the deer is going to be walking up to this feeding stand, and so all you really have to do is just sit there and like drink a martini and wait for the fucking thing to show up, and then not miss your shot. And even if you do miss your shot,
6 o'clock, that's when the feeder goes off. Yeah.
And even if you do miss your shot, the guy who's like your guide that's with you, he'll shoot it for you if you miss. So like, you don't even have to worry about not getting one. Like,
I mean, did they do this? Like, because I want to say, well, if you keep the meat, then that's cool. But I'm not doing that with a cow. Like, I'm going and seeing the butcher and get my quarter of a cow. I'm not going to shoot the cow. It's like a fun afternoon, Like, it's the same fucking thing at that point, Like, yeah, that's almost just extra cruel. Like, if you're going to do the sport, great, right? But if you're not going to do the sport, it's like, yeah, man, let the pro handle it. Now, I mean, in fairness, though, I tell any customer of mine, if you want to come kill your own chicken to be part of it, do it. And honestly, I encourage it. Like, you can come by processing day. We'll walk you through it. You can do your own bird. So I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'm saying. Something about it just seems extra gay. So.
Yeah, well,
I
like
guess
it's whenever you're someone who like spent like all day in the woods and like see nothing, then all of a sudden like somebody just like I paid somebody to go sit somewhere and get one for free basically, like, or I paid to be able to have that experience of like feeling what it's
And what
like.
do you want? Do you want the experience of shooting something in the head, or do you want or do you want to go fill your freezer? Like for your family, because those are like two different goals, and one in hunting is a
one I
sociopathic
think a lot
goal,
of times.
and the other is a prepper goal.
One, I think, in a lot of times on those where it is like a paid hunt and they're just there for the purpose of killing it. They're not actually there for the meat. The people who raise or who own the land and who kind of raise these deer and who control the hunt and everything, like they will go and they'll harvest it and they'll actually like skin it out and they'll dress it out and like they're going to put the meat to use. Like they're not just letting these people murder a deer and then leave it out there for the coyotes. Like they're
Of course, yeah. But the person who goes and does it and doesn't want the meat though, that's just weird to me.
Yeah.
No, I just want to come. I'll pay you. You can have the meat. Just let me shoot one of your animals in the head for money. It's like Hostel. It's like the movie Hostel.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
I have some that just come in the backyard, like they walk through the woods here, but this is kind of more residential area, so
nuisance.
Can't really do much.
Your neighbors be cool about it, right?
I could get them off off the back porch here, but the neighbors would probably get a little bit antsy.
Does Alabama have the nuisance laws where like if it is in your yard and it has the potential like here, if you've got like a garden and stuff and you have deer that just keep coming in your yard, you can legally shoot them out of season. Like you can it's not a problem. So like if a deer walks up in our yard, I can shoot it because it's a nuisance. So do you have those? They're a little more strict on turkeys for some reason. I don't understand why that is. Like I had a turkey that was hanging around our yard at one point, and I was like, well, all right, what are the laws? What are the nuisance laws on shooting a turkey? Because this fucker's getting real curious about my corn patch, and I had more than one person tell me like, do not shoot it. You have to get rid of it some other way. Like don't shoot the turkey.
An accident.
Game warden will come after you for that. Like,
you got to cut its brake lines.
If it's a deer, you're fine, but if it's a turkey for some reason you're not, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me because the turkey is as big or if not a bigger nuisance, but whatever.
As far as I know, like I don't know the specifics on Alabama law, but I know that generally speaking, if it's a residential area, it's like a complete no-go zone or whatever. But if it's like if you're in if you're out in the boondocks and whatever, and one just walks up in your yard, you can shoot it. You don't need a nuisance law or whatever. Like as long as you're not like in these residential areas, like kind of like we're in, I guess it's kind of more fair game. But that's all I know about it. I don't know any particulars on the law.
We've got a varying laws depending on the animal, and a big thing with us here is if you're a farm, like if you're agriculture. So I don't know if that's just like, well, I have a garden patch and it was in there, I can shoot it, or if like you actually have to be like agriculture, green belt thing, the whole thing. But anyhow, but if you're actually like registered as like a farm or what have you, then yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff like if they're nuisance. I think you can get deer. It might depend on the time of year, but I think typically if they're nuisance, I think the special thing you need is if you want to shoot them at night. I think you need a permit to shoot them at nighttime. If you're a farm, I think you can. I think you just need a permit for that for whatever reason. But otherwise, like, nobody around me gives a shit. I know that there's some larger farms near me that have not given, oh, you want to go shoot something? Go for it. You know what I mean? So, I think a lot of people just kind of look the other way. It's a don't get caught kind of thing in some circumstances. Yeah. But a lot of it is private land. You have a lot more freedom. One thing that how should I say, it's been tempted by is everybody has a pond. And gators just happen through. Sometimes they'll come hang out in the pond and take up residence. Sometimes they'll just move. They'll spend a few days and move on. I don't know. I don't know if they're still technically like endangered, but they're not endangered. They're a nuisance here. So I don't know what the nuisance laws is on alligators, but that's something that they are still really strict on, like game wardeny wise. I have definitely had neighbors who have had them in their ponds, and they've been, a threat to their animals and cows, and they've shot them and killed them, but didn't keep anything from them. I would love to be able to get like some
gator meat
and fresh gator, because I mean, like, gator's good, like I've had it, but it's always frozen garbage. It's like, man, that would be cool, but I don't know what the laws are, if it's a nuisance or what. I got to look into that, because there's nuisance gator trapping services, like they come and take them away. So I don't know, I can't imagine they go release them somewhere else. Typically the gators are a danger at that point because people feed them. Like, that's the big thing with gators. Like, gators are much more scared of you than you are of them. That's true, until people start feeding them. So once they do that, and that's always the place where people hang out, like boat ramps and things of that nature, where children are, and that's why people get eaten by gators, because dumbasses feed them. And if it's in a retention pond behind an Applebee's, everybody who works at the Applebee's is going to go out back and throw riblets in there late at night and go, oh, look at the gator. So those gators tend to be the dangerous ones.
When I was living in Mississippi, they had a wild hog problem, and it was like no limit hunting on wild hogs like year round, because they were such a huge nuisance for farmers and stuff. They also had the Canadian geese were such a huge problem from mid-December until about mid-March. It was no limit by any means necessary. Like, kill as many of these motherfuckers as
the geese. They good eating?
Yeah, they like they repopulate a lot. Like those Canadian geese, they're
You eat them? They any good to eat? Fuck, man, I feel a freezer. Yeah, I've never had goose. I'm thinking about raising some to eat. Doing like geese for Christmas one year.
I asked one guy, I was like, what do they mean by like by any means necessary? That seems odd. I was like, so like, if you've got a pond that a bunch of them are landing on, you just hook up like car batteries to the pond and electrocute them when they hit it, or what? Like, he's like, well, I guess that's a little extreme, but you could do that. Like, you know what? This sounds interesting. I might want to get in on this. Like,
if that ain't the most redneck thing I ever heard.
Steven, are you saying the geese are no good to eat when you say they are rats? Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, I eat some greasy. Is all goose greasy, or just like the Canadian geese? I guess that's what I'm getting at, because people eat goose, so I don't know if the Canadian geese are just not good geese to eat, or what.
Generally speaking, all goose that I've had is a little more greasy, but like if you're
so's duck. Yeah, it's fatty.
Right. Like the best way to
waterfowl.
The best way to cook it is to like I guess to kind of do it like chicken strips. Like you strip it out and you bread it and fry it up, and then it's really good. That's the best way. I've had some like boiled goose and boiled duck. And
that doesn't sound good.
Yeah,
you roast it like slowly and like get that skin crispy. Like you take and like cut the bone out of the thigh. Like and slow cook it. That's probably good. But yeah, I wanted to do geese, because geese are like one of the few animals you can just pasture raise and not supplement with feed, and they'll find all their food themselves and get to weight and everything. So just for like, survivability, it'd be kind of cool to have geese. We had a pair of them. A coyote came and ate the female, unfortunately, but we could never hatch any of their eggs. We tried to hatch their eggs, but never really worked out. So I don't know how this thing, and she never hatched any of her own eggs. So maybe our boy goose is sterile. I don't know. Yeah, I want to get into ducks. I want to start doing pekins or pekins, or however you say it, and start doing ducks for meat and eggs.
I'm thinking about getting into rabbits.
That's cool.
You gonna have them everywhere. They're gonna be all over.
I just need to go out and start shooting one a week in the yard.
Well, I gotta build a big hutch, and then I'll get started.
Yeah, duck eggs are great. I hear they're the best for baking. Oh, here our farmer talk again.
I've heard duck eggs are really good too. We never get off the farmer talk. This is it. This is what we are doomed to talk about anytime we get together. Like, we got
technically getting into food category now, though.
How is it that when it's Clyde with us, we don't do this, even though he's as much a farmer as we are? But like, somehow we manage to stay more on topic when we have a third.
That's mine and Clyde's private chat is just farmer stuff.
He keeps that private then. He's actually good.
Bacon wrapped dog.
All right, we gotta get out of here, y'all.
Yeah, I guess we should.
Y'all are making me hungry.
Have a great Monday, guys.
Later.
All right, peace out. See ya.
Peace.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.